So is the E-Ride Pro 3.0 worth the $600 extra that they're asking you to pay for it? Today we're going to talk about all the differences in both of these bikes so you can make that decision for yourself. So before we get started in the comparison, what I want to say is we will leave a link to both of these bikes. We do have them in stock in the description, as well as a discount code that you can save 5% off on anything that you buy on our site. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk comparison of the E-Ride Pro 3.0 versus the 2.0. Okay, so the first things we want to talk about with these two bikes is obviously they are different, but how different are they? The first thing that we noticed right out of the box after we've ridden them both is the brakes. The brakes on these two bikes are completely different. The E-Ride Pro 2.0 is mineral oil based, so it's more of a mountain bike brake. And then the E-Ride Pro 3.0 is a .4 fluid, and the caliper on this bike almost looks like a true moto caliper, where the caliper on the 2.0 looks more like a mountain bike caliper. It's definitely beefier than that, but it's nowhere near the 3.0. So if we just talk about the brakes alone, generally a brake upgrade for your E-moto is roughly $500 or $600. So right out of the gate, the $4,400 2.0 versus the $5,000 3.0, you're getting probably roughly $500 to $600 in just a brake upgrade. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about between these two bikes, which we noticed immediately, is the wheels and tires. I can't say for certain that the spokes on the 3.0 are thicker in any way, but these wheels feel stronger, they feel beefier. They seem like an upgrade, but I don't really know that they are. The one thing that is upgraded is you get an 18-inch rear on the 3.0 and a 19-inch front. Again, although that's not exactly what we want as E-moto people or moto people in general, it is much closer than the 1919 that comes factory on the 2.0. So the one thing that I do want to mention that I am not ecstatic on with the 3.0 whatsoever is the tires that they chose. I do appreciate them trying to innovate slightly and put more street or rock style tires on a bike versus a more knobby moto style tire. But for us, it does not fit the way that we ride. We generally ride on trails. We don't ride on the street, except if we're going up and down the street really quickly. So for people who ride on the street, these tires on the 3.0 are a definite upgrade, more of a Shinko 241, something that you're not going to need to change the second you get your bike, like we would probably need to change if we wanted to take this thing on any type of track or any type of hardcore trail. So I don't love those tires, but they are an upgrade from the 2.0 tires, where those cheap knobby CST tires that we get on all of our E-motos, they're really just not that sufficient, and we end up changing them anyways. So as far as the tires are concerned, you're not really getting much of an upgrade, but you are getting a better wheel setup, which is why we think that this is another win for the 3.0. All right, so now let's talk about the forks and the suspension, because I think that is a big part of where the 3.0 shines against the 2.0. The shock that you get on your 3.0 versus the 2.0, you get a 450-pound spring on the 3.0, which does make a huge difference, especially for heavier riders. It's still the same internals, but your spring is upgraded. But that's not really where the money is made up. The money is made up, in my opinion, on the front forks. You get an upgraded Fast Ace front fork on your E-Ride 3.0, and you get upgraded nothing on the 2.0. So it is just a regular standard fork that you're probably going to change relatively quickly if you purchase a 2.0. So getting an upgraded Fast Ace fork definitely makes that $600 difference sound a lot more attractive when you're talking about a bike that's ready to go right out of the box. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, because I think this was a big problem or a big thing that people were opposed to or kind of pissed off about, to be honest with you. The top speed on the 3.0 is maybe 3 or 4 miles an hour faster than the 2.0. So you would ask yourself, well, why is that? Because they are both a 72-volt battery. The 3.0 has a 50 amp hour 72 volt battery, and the 2.0 has a 40 amp hour 72 volt battery. So a lot of your power constraints come from the battery. And if you're only getting 72 volts, there's only so much top speed you're going to be able to push out of that 72 volts and still be able to use the battery for an entire day or a 20-mile ride. So that is probably one of the biggest drawbacks here, is you are not really getting much faster of a bike. It is faster initially, and it is faster off the line. It has a bit more torque, but outside of that, you're still getting 72 volts, just a higher amp hour. But when we talk about amp hour in terms of price and how it compares to that $600 difference, what I can say is a $600 difference for an additional 10 amp hours of battery is a good deal, because generally the battery is the most expensive part of the bike. And if you've ever bought an aftermarket battery, you know exactly what I'm talking about. While we're talking about battery, let's just talk about peak power. The 2.0 has a 12 kilowatt peak power, while the 3.0 has almost 15.8 kilowatts of peak power. Now, going back to the miles per hour conversation that we were just having, I just looked at the website for eRide Pro, and previously it had stated that the 3.0 was 65 miles an hour, the 2.0 was 60 miles an hour. That has been changed. Now on the website it says each of them are 60 miles an hour. I think that's because a lot of people started testing them. They started to find out that that top speed was not entirely accurate, and it really depended upon the rider weight. So that's something to be said. They are saying in terms of top speed, they are apples to apples. So then it just comes down to you deciding what's best for your specific bike in terms of all the other components that are upgraded on the 3.0. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of more items and then we can wrap this video up. What you're gonna get on the 3.0 is a park button, which allows you to place the motorcycle in park and just takes it out of sport or eco. You also get the ability to access your bike through an app. There is a Bluetooth module underneath where your battery is, and you can pull that thing out and you can see it. This does not have any of those functionalities. Now the app, from my perspective, is glitchy and finicky at best, and I don't really like using it. I haven't even hooked it up. I did a little bit of testing on it, but I'm not going to use it. I think once they get that figured out and they give you the ability to control all the different parameters within your bike, I think it will be a lot better, but it doesn't seem like a lot of R&D was done to make sure that that app was perfect. So for me, I'm not even going to use it. The last thing that the 3.0 has that the 2.0 does not have is reverse. It may sound stupid, but I know for a fact on my Ultra B, when I get in a tight situation or I get in a spot where I have to back up, not having to try to push the bike backwards while I'm on the bike or get off and pull the bike backwards does make a big difference. Whether it is enough to push you over the edge to purchase the 3.0 over the 2.0, I don't really know, but that is something to consider if you're in the market for one of these two bikes. Okay, so that's my breakdown and our comparison of these two bikes because we know it's a hot topic. We will be comparing the 3.0 to other bikes as well, but right now we think the eRide Pro to eRide Pro comparison is probably the best one to start with. Again, if you guys are interested in purchasing either of these bikes, they are in stock on our website. I will put a link in the description for you, as well as a discount code so you can save yourself some money on anything you buy on the site, and we'll see you guys on the next one.